indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Cheeseman. Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So
Okay, first time in a long time. We have no corrections, we have no additions, we have no subtractions, so it is as presented. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, down to information this evening, we have Mr. Cheeseman and Cheeseman with us for the ROC camera system presentation. I'll turn it over to Mr. McCowan.
So about a year and a half ago, we had a presentation at the superintendent's meeting, one session, and this company presented. It's an addition to the camera systems we're already using that puts an additional server in there, and it basically uses AI as a weapons detection alert if that were to be in schools. Okay, so Adam Cheeseman is now with that company, and he saw me a couple weeks ago and did a demonstration of what that was. I think it's something that we're interested in pursuing. The last board meeting, I had a little informational packet from that I shared out with you, and then I asked Mr. Cheeseman to come and join us this evening to share us some additional information on that. So if you would, Adam, come up and tell us a little bit about that, and then if you don't mind entertaining any questions that the board members might have.
Push button, green light will come on.
Good deal. Well, it is an honor to be here. It's good to see some familiar faces. I am a 2003 graduate of Work County High School, so very, very proud of that, and I take that with me everywhere I've gone. Currently, I serve as the Director of School Safety for ROC. Used to be Rank 1 Computing. It's been shortened to ROC. The past 8 years, I've served as superintendent of schools in Doddridge County. And so I'll start the story there. About 2.5 years ago, the CEO of ROC came to Doddridge County. He is actually a graduate of Doddridge County Schools, and said, listen, we have got a product, we've got a school safety solution that we would like for you to pilot. And so Doddridge County Schools, Putnam County Schools, and Marion County Schools began a pilot program with this technology, again, about 2.5 years ago. Now, a little did I know at that time that, 3 years later I'd be serving in this capacity, but here we are. And so I say that to say this, that the technology that we are now ready to deploy in schools all over West Virginia, and really all over America, has been tested, right? It's been piloted, it's kind of tried and true at this point. So basically it's a 3-in-1 school safety solution. Now, make no mistake about it that this is not the end-all, be-all solution to school safety, but we do think it is a piece of the comprehensive safety approach. And so what this solution can offer is its software, and this software is put into already existing cameras. So there's no new cameras that we are going to bring or offer. What we can do is come into your existing camera streams and help you with potential camera placements. But it's not a camera, it's a software. ROC began in 2015 out of Denver, Colorado, as a SDK company, software development kit company. They turned this into a product, again, about 3 years ago that's called ROC Watch. So it's a software company. This software then does 3 different things. It can do visitor management, persons detection, meaning that if you would want to enroll your parents, your guardians, you could do that. They would walk up to the front camera. It would identify, recognize them, tell the secretary immediately who it was. This is approved to be in your school, or if they show up on any sex offender lists or any regional jail lists or whatever it might be, it can identify those that can be into your school, and then those that shouldn't be in your school can do that instantaneously. Could also, if you've got an area in your school where you don't want people to be at, right? The camera then would quickly alert, and it would send a notice that said, hey, there's a person somewhere in that area that they shouldn't be. And so that's one piece to it. The second piece to it is it does offer license plate recognition, which there is some use cases for schools, to use LPR. But the biggest draw for us, and probably what we're here to have the most conversation about, is it does do gun weapon detection. And so God forbid there be a weapon, a credible threat that show up, on campus. But what this technology will do is it will find that gun. It will then send an alert in real time to the front office. It'll go to the secretary. It can go to the principal. If you have a resource officer, it obviously could go there too. Really anybody that you would want to have this alert, and it would pop up. It would show the gun. It would show the individual with the gun, and then you could then look at it and kind of adjudicate that, right, and say, okay, is this a credible threat? Or is this a law enforcement officer that come onto the property or whatever? So people still will lay eyes on it, but it will send it immediately. It will also send a text message to anyone that superintendent, you all would decide that message should go to. So it could go to the sheriff, it could go to the state police, it could go to any law enforcement that might need notified. And the goal is this: if it can save 10 to 15 seconds, then it'll save lives, right? So all three of these options come with the software. But what you have the ability to do is look at it and say, okay, we need it for this. We might not need it for this, so on and so forth. So it's customizable, per district. The last thing that I would mention that is coming, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions, is we do have a Morgantown East Coast, what we're calling Center of Excellence. So we've got an office in Morgantown where we are in the process of kind of putting up an operations center, meaning we're going to have some engineers and some technicians that will be able to be in Morgantown and help troubleshoot any technology concerns, anything with the server, and then also as more districts come on, we're then looking to put some retired or off-duty law enforcement officers that would be there to kind of help give another set of eyes, if you will, to adjudicate some of these potential threats. Now understand this, that those officers, as they are looking, counties can opt into this, but as they I'm probably not as good as whatever this movie is. I don't know. I hope not. I don't know. But yeah, I can talk louder though. Yeah.
William will take care of it. Nothing else, we'll unplug them.
Good deal. You're good, man. You're good. That may be my cue. I don't know, right?
Could be like the Gong Show, Adam.
Right. Yeah, that's my 5-minute warning. But I would say this, that it's important to know that when we do bring on these off-duty or retired law enforcement officers to help, kind of give a campus surveillance, that number one, that is an opt-in for counties to do, and number two, they're only looking for threats. Right, so it's not the visitor management. It's guns. Right, that would come on to campus. Very aware of any privacy concerns, privacy issues. We've been through all of that. We've went through the legal route with all of that, and so we don't want to do anything that would infringe upon anybody's rights. With that said, being a public school system and being tasked to keep all these kids and staff safe, this is a public entity, so some of that stuff kind of goes by the wayside. But nonetheless, that is probably a brief overview of it. I know Superintendent gave you all some information about it. Happy to answer any questions or have any conversation about any of it that you need.
Do you have any of these in place locally, or?
Yeah, so currently, Doddridge County is running RockWatch on both inside and or interior and exterior cameras, and so it's operating there. Gun detection's operating there, license plates operating there, and visitor management. Marion County Schools has visitor management and gun detection turned on there. Putnam County Schools, they have 23 schools there. They've got the full solution, and actually probably a little bit more advanced in the visitor management piece of it than what Doddridge is. And then we just brought Harrison County Schools on 2 weeks ago. They're going to put it in their 23. They're going to use it primarily for perimeter at this point. So yeah, there's about 4 districts within Clay County having a proof of concept up and running at their high school.
Another question, if you have somebody that is permitted to carry, can somebody go into it and identify that through that work?
Well,
Don't start some alerts out to everybody when somebody is supposed to.
yeah. So when you say permitted to carry, I assume you mean a law enforcement, because no one can bring a weapon onto to school property unless approved by the superintendent, right? Yeah. So we can. What that would do if an officer came on, you can put their face, right? It would recognize their face and give an approval. It would still hit their gun though, because the concern is this: if you're training the algorithm to weed out a certain gun, that we don't ever want to miss a gun, right? So if a state trooper came on, he would be in the system. It would recognize him or her as being approved, but it would still capture their gun. Correct. It would recognize them as approved, but it would still capture the gun.
Well, I think that would allow you to see that your system's working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was my question. You said it would, well, one of my questions.
Yeah.
You said it had been tested, here in the school systems you mentioned in West Virginia.
Yeah.
So obviously with law enforcement officers and people like that entering, but have you come across anyone, has it picked up anyone carrying that shouldn't have been?
Yeah. So it's identified sex offenders that have come on to school properties in certain counties. But in terms of and thank God, there's never been a gun in any of those schools yet, except the ones that were supposed to be there.
So somebody was supposed to.
So what we do in each district is we go and we kind of prove it out, right? Do a proof of concept. And so most of the ones we've been dealing with so far have had an officer that is carrying. And so we just bring them out, turn it on the software and then have them walk by in their holster or holding
the gun does have to be visible.
Correct. The gun does have to be visible. Yes.
Or weapon.
The weapon. Yes. It does have to be visible, which is why I go back to, not going to claim or proclaim that this is the end all be all solution. Pairs well with a metal detector that could catch somebody who has it concealed. But again, kind of provide another 10, 15 seconds on your perimeter. Yeah.
In the testing, what was the false positive rate and then the false negative rate?
Absolutely. That's a good question. So when we first started this about 2.5 years ago, the false positive rate, admittedly, was relatively high. And the reason I know that is because it was at Doddridge County, and I continued to watch the cameras. And so as the algorithm has gotten better and better and better, which is why we kept it, or I should say they kept it as a pilot up until July when I came on board, was to continue to get that algorithm fixed, right? And so now the best way I can answer that is this. Putnam County High School just had 2 homecoming dances 3 Saturdays ago. I think Winfield, maybe Hurricane, had their homecoming dances. Over 1,200 people, kids, adults, came in and out of both of those buildings, and there were 9 gun detections. Now, before anybody says, oh my, it was 9 PRO officers, guns that were detected with 0 false positives. And these kids are walking in with cell phones, they're walking in with all types of things. So if that gives you an idea, to how accurate that it is.
So like in the other testing, did you have like a number for that, like a percentage?
Yeah. So what would happen is anytime there would be a false positive that would be picked up, and if you're looking for an absolute percentage, I'd have to get a number for you. But when a false positive would occur, there's people in the company called annotators, and so that false positive would be picked up and directly then sent into the images of these individuals that are annotating. Right, the gun, is this a gun? Yes or no? Right, and so then it would so in these real images that we're saying that was false would be put in, and they would quickly then weed it out. And that's how the algorithm has gotten better. But I can get back with you with some type of percentage if you need.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Both the false positive and the false negative.
Okay.
To see if it's the same or if it's different.
Very good. Okay. I would just communicate with superintendent.
Yeah.
Very good. Yep. Can do that.
Yeah, I saw, it must have been at one of the meetings, I saw this going on. It looked pretty cool. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. I think so. Obviously, believe in it or I wouldn't be standing here, right?
So Adam, if we decided that we wanted to put some money into this, what are we looking at as far as our lead time to have it installed, put in, taken care of?
Yeah. So from the moment that, if you did decide to do it, the server is the longest wait in it. And usually right now it's 4 to 6 weeks to get the server in. Once the server comes in, it'll be tested in our office for about 2 to 3 days to make sure everything is good. And then we will then communicate and bring it, and install it. The actual install would take half a day, if that. Yeah. The training, then we would set up a time to come down. Anyone that superintendent wants trained, we've got some trainers that could come. It's a very easy, user-friendly interface, and so it's not that extensive of a training. So altogether, let's say the server did take, I'd say 8 weeks max would be.
And you guys have taken a look at our cameras, and our cameras our system will hold this.
Yes. So we when we met, brought down a couple engineers who are far more advanced and smarter than I am. I will admit to that. And yes, Brendan was saying that the camera system that you all have, really we're camera agnostic, and so unless the camera is old, old, so.
Okay, and how many cameras? I remember you saying, Mr. McKell.
I think one server can handle 20 cameras.
So there's different levels of servers, and this is one area that I was that I won't say fought, but I spoke up with the company about is that I fully understand that some counties are larger and they've got larger budgets, and some counties are smaller and they've got smaller budgets. But the reality is the kids in smaller budgets are just as important as the kids in larger budgets. And so what they did was they broke down, per camera stream by server size. So at first there was just one server size, and now they've been able to go with a lesser server size. So the one that was in this proposal could pick up 20 to 25 camera streams. Now the larger server picks up closer to 80, camera streams. But again, when you've only got 2 campuses, probably would be, I would leave it up to you all, obviously, but I would say the smaller server with the streams would probably be better. But anyway.
Okay.
I've got another question.
Yeah.
If it's concealed, how can it identify, like something sticking out? How is it? Only it has to be completely.
Yeah. So if the gun is visible to the camera, it will be visible to the software. So if it,
But if it's not, it's like if you have one in the jacket.
Yeah, if it's going to be in the jacket and they come walking in with it in their jacket, no. If the camera can't see it, it would not. Which again, it probably pairs nicely with some type of weapon or metal detector or something that would detect, a concealed. Now, if this scenario has been discussed and talked about. Certain schools are electing to put it on the interior in their cafeterias or in their gymnasiums. And so if somebody came in, had the weapon, pulled the weapon out in the hallway or wherever it might be, then it would be detected. But, by that time it is in the building. So.
You mentioned that you have lists of people that are not granted access to school, like the predator list or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, is that automatically updated, or is that something that our staff would have to periodically download and update the new lists? Or
It's automatically updated every 24 hours. It's synced. Best way I can explain it is it's synced directly with the West Virginia sex offender list. And so when it updates, it automatically then rolls into our system. So there would be no work on the secretaries or schools end when it comes to that. Now you can customize other watch lists that we would train then and teach the secretary how to create, or the administrator, whomever chooses to oversee it. For example, your visitor. Your visitors list, you all approve visitors at meetings and different things. You could make them into one watch list to where they could go up to any of the buildings, and when they walk up, it'll pop up and it'll say visitor, approved visitor, and then that secretary knows, hey, they can come on in. One of the things I consistently battled as superintendent a little bit was a lot of people come in and out of our buildings, and the secretary gets busy. The buzzer rings and come on, without maybe pausing and saying, hey, why are you here? Those types of things. This really creates an easy way then for the main office to look and vet then who it is that's at their door.
so, other than the manual inputs that we would put in and the sex offender list, what other lists would automatically go into the system to help us out?
Yeah, so what we would do is we would help you then if you wanted, I'll use the regional jail in Doddridge County. I said, hey, we need the regional jail upload it. So Rock then helped us get that and upload that list. So you could then select really, honestly, any list that is populated, that is out there. We could help arrange that and get it uploaded. Yeah.
Any other questions? Adam, we're going to have a discussion here in a little bit about carryover funds. If you don't have to take off, how about sticking around for a little bit? And
I can
just
do
in
that.
case when we get to that point, we have some questions for you.
Dad wants me to stop by anyway, so I'm going to hang out for a little bit.
Good enough.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It was
Adam.
good seeing you, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is Mr. Smith for our monthly attendance report and maintenance project update. Mr. McCown.
Right, Mr. Smith is with us this evening, and he's going to share with us the monthly attendance report, and then after that, we've got some update on some maintenance projects he's going to share.
Attendance first, Mr. McCown, did you say?
Yes, please.
Okay. Give me just a second here, sorry. Okay. Sorry about this, it's loading up, Mr. McCown. Okay. All right. Okay. In regards to the October attendance narrative, there were 36 5-day letters that were sent to households during the month. The Work County Schools year-to-date attendance as of 10/10 was the following. Primary center was at 94, middle school was at 92.2, high school was at 90%, and the district was at 92%. The average attendance by school and district is as follows. The primary center is at 93.9, middle school's at 92.5, high school's at 89.8, and the district is at 92.2. In regards to district enrollment, primary center is at 330, middle school is at 261, the high school is at 273, for a total district-wide of 864. In comparison to the September narrative, there's been an enrollment decrease of 2 students. Primary center had an increase of 2 students. Middle school decreased by 1 student, and high school decreased by 3 students, for a total of a negative of 2 students district-wide we reduced by. There's a summary of our enrollment by grade. Pre-K is at 67, kindergarten at 45, first grade at 54, second grade at 45, third grade at 56, fourth grade at 63, fifth grade at 59, sixth grade is at 58, seventh grade is at 67, eighth grade is at 77, ninth grade is at 67, 10th at 64, 11th grade at 74, and 12th grade at 68 as of 10/10. Anyone have any questions or concerns with any of that information? Okay. All right. You want me to go ahead with the maintenance? It's okay, go ahead with the maintenance. Okay. Okay. First thing, is in regard to maintenance, I thought I'd give us some updates on our projects that have been going on. The Work County Schools maintenance staff, assisted by the way, Adam's father, Jack Cheeseman, and his carpentry class, the maintenance group helped him with pouring and finishing the concrete floor of the renovation of the storage building below Mr. Cheeseman's classroom down here, close to down below the concession stands, where the band concession stands at. In addition to adding a concrete floor, Mr. Cheeseman and his class are restudying and creating a new storage area for VOAG equipment on one side and storage for football and other sports equipment on the other side of the structure. So I included just a couple of pictures here to show what they've been working on. There's the new concrete pad they poured on the floor. That's one side of the building. Here's the other side where they're working on studying, and of course, and they're going to hang drywall and such once they get it all set up. But what it has done is allowed us, there's a lot of, I hate to say clutter, but there's been a lot of sports stuff and other things that have been piled in the school. She's nodding her head. She saw it. So we're trying to create an atmosphere where it's less cluttered here and get it down out of the way, and where it's easier access during football season, and also as well, VOAG equipment, tractor, things like that, getting more of that stuff out of the way to make it more tidy out back, for example. And thought the kids and Mr. Cheeseman and the maintenance staff really did a good job with that. So I'm anxious to see when they complete it totally. The Work County Schools maintenance staff welded and constructed 6 mobile mat baskets to transport the Work County Middle School and Work County High School cheerleading mats from the storage area to the gymnasium. These baskets were constructed to accommodate the 9 mats at each school. The dimensions of mats are as follows: 6 foot by 42 by 1 3/8 inches. The mobile mat baskets are to help ensure the cheerleader safety transporting the mats for practice and events and reduce damage to the floor. And I don't know if you saw when you came in, I had them put them out here in the hallway in the cafeterias out here so you could see them as you came in, but I've got pictures as well. To make a long story short, we're required to have those cheerleading mats, as I said, for safety reasons and various things, both schools. But when I did some research and started looking into getting some way of transporting them, the baskets were $10,000 for each school. So instead, I asked Kurt Starcher, our main welder, and some of the maintenance staff if they could put that together, and they were able to do a very good facsimile of what they had for a lot cheaper than $20,000. That was more than what the mats cost, so I thought we ought to look at other options. So, but right there, you can see that's to transport the mats. We're able to put them up in there and roll them. You could see back and forth to the gym where instead of trying to wrestle 9 mats and drag them across the floor, you could picture that scenario. But there'll be 3 of these located at each school to haul those 9 mats. So I'm anxious. They should have all of them done, I'd say, by the end of next week. Probably they'll have all of them done. So, okay, and most of you have mentioned this before. The Work County Schools maintenance staff completed the installation of the new vital siding and the trim at the board office, which we weren't happy with how it looked on the front. To make a long story short, take a look at it. You can see where they tried riveting, they tried doing other things, how it was laid out. They weren't happy how it looked, so they redid the front, so it's completed and finalized out front. And lastly, I figure you all would be glad to hear about this, the progress on this. The purchase order process is completed for the materials and installation of the security door system at Dora B. Woodyard Library. The work is to be completed by Pro One Electric. The projected total cost of the project is $6,065. The system will be compatible with our current A-phone cards. Pro One informed us that it will take approximately 2 weeks for them to receive the system, and then they will begin installing the system, to get the materials and such. There was different things with the hold up and delay on this. One thing we wanted to make sure, if we could, and I talked to Mr. McCann about this as well, is we want it to be compatible with our scan cards like we carry every day, just to make it more convenient. So that was one of the things. But they're hoping, like I said, they're supposed to have the stuff in this. I put this out on 10/10. We put the PO in maybe a day or two before that. So I'm hoping, don't hold me to this, but close to the beginning of the next month, it'll be installed and everything should be in place. Hopefully, that's our goal. So, but anyone have any questions on any of that?
Any questions from Mr. Smith?
On the cards, the
Uh-huh.
public, that's also public already, will they be issued?
Yes, we'll have to do something for the public so they can get in and out, but it'll make it to where they have to use their library card or do something. And plus, with the cameras, we can see who's coming up to the building and such, and they'll be able to not let people in if they choose not to for whatever reason. Brent, I hope that answered your question. Yeah.
So hopefully if we go with Mr. Cheeseman's thing, that might be in one of them.
Oh, yes. That was one of the things. Mr. Cheeseman came in and met with Mr. McCann and myself and Casey and Curtis was all in the room the day we talked to them. And that was one of the things that we're going to put that compatible with one of those cameras, definitely. So to where, that'll be one of the things. Matter of fact, I talked to Mr. Cheeseman about the fact we've had a couple of instances where it will do license plate recognition, and that's one of the 3 things that Mr. Cheeseman mentioned that it'll do, and that's one thing that sold me on that, because if they get out of their car and you can get to see their face, that's fine, and other options. But this way, if a car was parked out there and they could get a shot of that license plate, they could tell who the person is or if it was a danger to have them there and things like that. Because we've had people, without getting into a long drawn out thing, Brent, have sat there for 3 or 4 days at a time, which concerns the librarians, you can understand. And then sometimes it's innocent enough, and then sometimes there's a reason to be concerned. So that would help with that as well with Adam's device there. It would do all that stuff. It would track facial recognition, of course, weapon recognition, help with that, as well as the license. It would do all that. So that was a good selling point, I thought. So, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith.
No, thank you.
Okay, with the board's permission, I'd like to make a little deviance from our agenda. Under delegations, we have Kenna here, and Kenna is going to talk to us about a vision program for our students. And it's one of those things that we will probably have a discussion under carryover funds. So if it's okay with my fellow board members, we're going to go ahead and let Kenna come up now, and then she can do that, and it'll lead into the other discussion.
So, I'm Kenna Wagner. I am the nurse practitioner at the Wellness Center. I think I've met most of you, but I graduated from here a few years ago. We were talking. And I've been back at the Wellness Center for about 2.5 years now. And I am new to school-based medicine. So if you're new to school-based medicine, the goals of school-based medicine are to keep kids in class and parents at work, and limit the disruption of seat time, because, like we were just talking, attendance is an issue, and we've talked about that recently as well. So one of the things I learned after I came to school-based medicine is just how bad students' vision is. I had not done school-based medicine until I came here. And so through well child checks, we routinely check, the vision chart at 20 feet, you read off the letters. And it's kind of limited, right? Like, I'm not an optician or an ophthalmologist, so my skill set is, okay, you have a problem and I need to refer you. It was very overwhelming to me how many times we were catching these at sports physicals or well child checks, or if somebody was there for a headache or something, we would do it. We don't check everybody's vision every time. So I quickly figured out there's a problem here, and how can we fix it? So I was trying to refer people, and getting them to appointments was problematic. So I got some grant funding for a Welch Allen spot vision screener. It's kind of like if you've been to the eye doctor and you look at the balloon that's far away and it, can focus and kind of give you a rough idea of a prescription. It can pick up some things of if you have an eye gaze issue, but again, it's pretty quick and it's just this person should be referred. So it's a little better than what we have. This was $7,000. I was able to get a grant for that. And so one of the other things that we do is incoming pre-K and kindergartners have to have an eye exam. So again, there was problems getting them to get there. So this can actually qualify for that it can at least do a screening for that, and then they're good to come to school. So we've put it to good use with that. But I quickly found out that identifying them as, yes, you need to go see someone, still isn't getting the kids where they need to get that exam. So again, I was trying to figure out a way of how am I going to fix this. Obviously, I think we can all know the numbers of how many optometrists or ophthalmologists are in Elizabeth, West Virginia. So it's even a problem in Wood County for them to get to an eye doctor there after you wait for an appointment as well. So I will give you some statistics first before I go over my solution. So according to the American Optometric Association, 1 in 4 children in the U.S. have an undiagnosed vision problem. And Title I students are 2 to 3 times more likely than non-Title I students to have an undetected or untreated vision problem. In West Virginia, it's estimated that over 100,000 students have an undiagnosed or undertreated vision problem. So children who have trouble seeing obviously have attendance problems, behavior problems, medical problems. Maybe they have headaches or whatever the case is. And then we have the problem of children with diabetes that need eye exams and some things that they're just not getting. So I had to figure out how can we fix this. So I found a few different companies. It's a mobile vision unit that they come on site. And so I've done some research on a few and kind of priced them to see kind of how that would work. So about 2 years ago, I started down this path of how was I going to do this and who was going to pay for it. So I started applying for some grants, and I got several, Sisters of St. Joseph's grants, and a few other smaller ones, but I couldn't get enough money fast enough, and I had to give them their money back because the cost for this company that I found, it's $15,000, and what will happen for $15,000 is a group will come with an optometrist and para-optometric technicians, and they will descend upon the school, and over 2 days, every kid at Work County Schools or anyone that is maybe doing virtual school or any of that, if they're under the Work County Schools umbrella or coming in, my hope is to try to get it in the spring so we could capture those pre-K kids and kindergarten kids that aren't necessarily here yet, and we could maximize that while they're here. So the rough number I gave them was $1,100, just so maybe we'll grow a whole lot too. But it would be $15,000. So they will come and they will set up in like the gym, and there will be little stations, and everyone will come and get an eye exam. In addition to that, if they're identified as needing correction, they will also get a free pair of glasses. They will be able to pick glasses. There's some examples on the website, but lots of different kinds, plastic frames, wire frames. It's going to be single vision glasses, so, it's just a basic pair of glasses. They will be fitted for them, measured, and then because of the amount of students, they won't make them the same day. They'll take them to the lab and make them, and then they'll send them back. In addition to that, it would also put us in touch with an optometrist. They would be established with them so that if there was an eye issue, maybe I needed help with a diagnosis or something, they're on staff and they can help us with that as well. Another thing that they'll do is they'll provide education to the school staff about how to identify vision problems in kids and some mitigating factors to help kids that are having problems. So right now, I have not had to give back $2,000. I have $2,000 left of my purse, I guess you could say. And I just applied for a grant with the Benedum Foundation. Now, there wasn't a limit on that grant, so I asked for the full amount from them. I made a good contact with the lady at the School-Based Health Conference of West Virginia this summer, and she seemed to think that it would be a good fit, but it's very late in the year, and what is their budget going to look like, kind of thing. So I'm just waiting on. I've never applied for grants until this job, so I need one more document to submit that, and then I don't have a turnaround time for that. But last month when I called, the company is Optical Academy is who I've looked at, and I have some information I can give you about them. But a month ago, the availability was like the following week or April. So obviously, the longer we wait, it may even be the following school year. So I would like to have enough money to do that soon, and I'm trying all I can. So I just want to let you know what I'm doing over there and the problem that I've identified. So, and I'll leave you these. Can I pass these out now? These things?
Yes,
Is that
absolutely.
okay? All right.
We usually do not allow questions on delegations, but when we get down to having the discussion, if you'll stick around for a little bit under the discussion part, I think we can probably do that.
Thank you. And I can also demonstrate how this thing works for you too. It takes like 3 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenna. Okay, we're down to D, under information, board members' discussion of the 2020-24 carryover funds and how the board would like to allocate these funds, okay? And I'll start this discussion with saying we don't have to allocate any funds, okay? That they'll be there and we can use them whenever. But it is an opportunity that we do not have that often to do some projects that will benefit our students, okay? And I know that Mr. Cheeseman's project, well, it's not his project, Mr. McCown's project, using Mr. Cheeseman's, you're wishing to use some carryover
Yes.
monies for that, okay? Also, I think that what Kenna brought to us for our students, I tell you, as a principal, I think back to how many students that we had that the problems went back to their vision. And, it's just, if you try to get into an eye doctor, it's tough. And I think this is a neat project. I think it's health of our students. It goes back to the academics of our students. I think it's a pretty neat thing. I know Mr. Stewart has some that he wants to say about this also. So those are 2 projects that I have out there that I'd like to bring forth. And I also would like for us to take a look at maybe giving our staff another raise in pay. Okay, and I asked Mrs. Cummins to give us some numbers on that, and she couldn't be here tonight.
I have that though.
You have that. Okay, I was going to say we'll hold that one until she's here. But if you've been following the news, it looks like our people are going to get hit again with PEIA. And a substantial hit maybe with PEIA.
14%.
Yeah, with PEIA.
Increase, if your spouse or family is on there, an increase in the fee for that, increase in co-pays and deductibles.
So, I'd like for us to have a conversation about whether we can afford or if we want to, we can afford, if we want to give our staff a slight raise in pay, maybe help cover some of those PEI things that are going to happen. So I asked Ms. Cummins to figure out 5, 8, and 1,000. Okay, and on your paper there you can see what each one of those would cost us. Okay, like no decisions tonight, just conversations about it.
So just to clarify, if you look at the column in the middle that says current cost, and you come down there, the total is $437,564 that we're paying out in professional and service compensations. Then if you look at the columns on the right, the 500, 800, 1,000, and you come down, the $500 additional raise per employee would be an additional cost of $93,139. And then the 800 and 1,000 accordingly.
So those are the two things, and I sort of stole Mr. Stewart's. He was going to talk about the vision. I know that he has feelings on that. But so those are two things. Anybody else have anything they like to put on the table for carryover monies?
How much are we looking at again for carryover?
There's $3 million in unbudgeted funds.
Yeah. And of course, we want to save some of them just to...
So, and I would like to throw out there, I've got a handful of years left before I retire, and I would love for us to run and pass a small bond here to build a new high school before my time in the county is done. I think that high school, it has been the hub of the community, but it's nearing 100 years old, and it has some issues. And it gets to the point where to repair the things that need to be repaired is not cost feasible as to building another school. And the school building authority has been slow to put a lot of money into older buildings that need substantial repairs. So I would, while we're talking about things to spend that money on, I'd like to throw that out there and just have the board ponder that. Eventually, we're going to have to build a new high school.
Yeah. I never thought I would agree with that, Mr. McCallum, but I do agree with you. Yeah. Any other things?
I just,
Mr.
what's already been said is pretty well covered what I was thinking about, but, my vision was caught in school too, so, it hits home. I was second grade and I didn't know I had eye problems, but I did, So, I just imagine how many kids, there are out there that, just can't see, but, that's the way they've always been.
Yeah.
Brent, I'll pile on with that. So not only was I blind as a first grader, they found out that I was colorblind, so they just thought I was dumb and didn't know my color until I went to the optometrist in first grade.
Well, and the fact that you mentioned it's even hard to get an appointment in Wood County. My husband has been trying to see the eye doctor since like July, and they have rescheduled his appointment 3 times. It's supposed to be tomorrow, we hope, but he went one day and the doors were shut and they had a sign up that said, "We're not open today." And he had no idea. So, he's taken 2 days off work to go to an appointment that didn't happen. So that's, not everybody can do that, obviously, and take their kid out of school and all of that to get to an appointment that has been rescheduled 3 times.
Yeah, we talked, Ken brought this forth at the Wellness Committee meeting. Mr. Stewart sits on that committee, and I just happened to turn up also. But this all will again be with parent permission. We're not going to put kids, if a parent does not want their child to have their eyes checked, and if they need a pair of glasses, get a free pair of glasses. We'll not force that upon any parent. And Kenna was going to check and once we know we can do it. Can parents come in and go through a parent come in and go through the process with their child? Can they talk to the optometrist because that's what we want our parents to do, okay? To be part of that. So all that will be in the works, but we will not give an exam to any child that parent has not agreed to it. So
something I think we ought to also consider is for the kids on the track team. We don't have a track, and what that means is that when our students are practicing and they're working out, they're running along a very heavily trafficked route, which it seems like a safety issue. And then when you look at some of the performance issues without having a track, if you look at, say, the hurdlers, they're trying to find a spot where we can put 3 or 4 hurdles together to get a little bit of practice puts us at a disadvantage with other schools. And when you see how well the students have done, even with some of those things against them,
Yeah.
you know, that'd be
Absolutely.
something to consider. I know that's a very expensive item, but most other schools our size actually have a track where the track team can practice at.
Well, and we don't ever get to have a home meet either, so that team has to do a lot of fundraising to even afford to go to other meets, and they don't get to have a home meet to help with that. Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I don't know the solution.
yeah.
You know, just the land to
Yeah, because we
put
don't
a
have room
track
around the
on.
football field to do it, which is where most schools have their track.
Yeah.
And we don't have the space there.
Do you have ideas on solution, Mr. Shillett?
Well, I think the first step is to see if there's a community desire to have one. And
Oh,
if that's the case, then we could move forward and look at it. But as far as a tract of land, no, I don't know where that tract of land
Yeah.
is. The first thing is it important enough for us to look into putting the resources into?
Of course, you know, if we have the discussion about a new high school is a major discussion. But along with that discussion is those things
We
like
had a
the
bond,
tracks
we had to
and
put a bond
ball
for that.
fields
That
and
could be
stuff
part
like
of the
that.
bond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's all part of that major discussion. So
Would that include a baseball field?
we would hope. Would hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
You was in my head.
My kids don't even go to this school, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Candace, so how much are you looking at from us? Would you like to see us?
Well, it depends on what the Benedum Foundation says. I anticipate that they will give us something. I don't know how much, and I'm going to continue to try. Sisters of St. Joseph's opens up again, I think, in December. But the problem with asking them is I have to show that I've already spent what they've given me. Sorry, I'm trying to get in a place where I can
You're
see
good.
everybody.
You're good.
You know, so applying for something that I still haven't spent the last money that you gave me can be problematic. Copeland has said that if I'm short, that they are willing to give some as well. But, you know, it's kind of, I need to show a chunk, I guess, is kind of, and then everybody can go from there.
So when will you have a ballpark of what you might not get through grants? Because I think this is a very worthwhile project, and if at all possible, I'd like to help you bring it to fruition.
Yeah, so there's not like a closing date of this specific grant. It's kind of just till they're out of money. So, and then there's not a timeline of when they'll approve it. I know that their grant committee meets twice a month, so I don't know, is that everybody that turns them in? You know, I don't know all of that information. But I certainly, you know, after I submit it, I'm going to reach back out to the person and kind of get some more information from them. They've been very helpful. Her name's Jen that I've talked to there, and she's, you know, given me a lot of guidance along the way. You know, they don't want to give necessarily like a track. Like they wouldn't give money for a whole track. They would rather see like a larger thing.
Yeah.
So like everybody get an eye exam, you know, that kind of situation, or uniform. They get a lot of requests, she said, like for new uniforms or something like that. So helping an entire area is more what they're along with. So I do feel positive that they will give something, but I don't know what. And with our administration at Copeland, they won't give me a solid number either. So I'm trying. I'm really.
So if we was to allocate, say, $10,000 towards this, and you would feel comfortable that you would be able to come up with the other.
Yeah.
But, okay.
I think during our meeting, you also said you had a goal of having this every 2 years. Do I remember that right?
I mean, that would be ideal, is,
Yeah.
you know, get it on a regular thing, and then we could start, you know, looking for some ways to fund that. But yeah, I would think every 2 or 3 years would be reasonable.
Well, what I'm thinking of, if there is a little bit of an overage, it could be held over to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, with grant, your funding, yes, but grant funding,
No.
it's usually you have to be spent within a certain amount of time. The other thing I'm looking at is because we're an FQHC, a lot of times there is, we're not an optical provider, but there may be another way that we could bill some of the Medicaid plans to get back a little bit to maybe offset that. We're kind of trying to see if, all of our designations can work for that. So I'm open if you have some other ideas of how I can get some money. I am certainly trying. And, parents certainly can come. I want them to come, but I plan to basically knock on doors to get everybody to agree to let their kids. I don't see any reason that somebody wouldn't want to.
Anybody that's bought a pair of glasses
Right.
recently, I think, would relish a free pair of glasses for the kid.
And like you were talking about your husband's eye exam, so I started keeping track of how many referrals I was making and how many people were actually going to those appointments. And it's really, really bad that they weren't going. And so that was an appointment that maybe your husband could have got or somebody else could have got. And then, Medicaid covers glasses, but a lot of people with commercial insurance, they may not have a vision plan. So that's, out-of-pocket cost for glasses. I mean, after your copays and things alone is astronomical. So, when I was first trying to do this more economically, I was trying to pre-screen and then could we only test, a certain amount. And that's, this company says that they don't want to skimp and miss somebody, that they prefer to just let everybody get, an exam and look in the back of their eyes and all of that. So, and even if somebody was absent that morning and got their eyes checked at an eye doctor, they would also get an exam with Optical Academy as well and have a second pair of glasses.
Right.
There's nothing with that.
Have you ever studied the effects of the computer screens on the eye, people's eyes?
I have not. I'm sure there is significant data out there, but
You said that like 1 in 4 have eye vision issues. Do you know how that might compare with like 10 years ago? Any idea on that?
not off the top of my head. I do not.
Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things I think, that in my mind can contribute to that. So when babies are born prematurely, we know that they're predisposed to have vision problems, and we're able to take better care of earlier babies. So, it's realistic that could be a lot of children's vision problems. We know diabetes is bad for eyes, and that those numbers in children are going up as well. I mean, there's just nutrition. There's just so many things that are to play with that. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
And how much are we looking for Mr. Cheeseman's?
It is in the
Company.
ballpark of $36,000.
Okay.
Say that again, please.
It is in the ballpark of around 30. I don't remember the exact $36,000 and change.
And is that not the maintenance cost, but the initial startup?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know, the grant, did you say it was a grant we had $2,000?
Yes, that's a sister.
When does it run?
Well, I gave it back once. This one's good until spring. So if I can get something in writing and pay them, it'll be fine, because then I can submit and say this is what I've
Yeah,
done.
we'll see.
I like the idea of funding this now so that she can go ahead and get it
Yeah.
scheduled and then work on additional grant funding for future years to.
And what I've learned with this grant thing is that if you're showing other money, they're more likely to give it to you as well. Instead of saying, I need 100% of the money from you, if I can say,
Yeah.
we have all of these people ready, they're more likely to give us some, so.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. McCowan, next board meeting, Mr. McCowan, if you'll put a item on there for discussion and possible approval for $10,000 for the eyeglass project, and I'm sorry what the name is, school vision proposal, however you want to list it. And also put a motion on there to approve for the camera system, the ROC camera system. And then we'll have final discussions and board members will vote how they want. Also, I'd like to move forward on this discussion about a high school and about track and about baseball fields. Okay, every year, and I know in the spring, we'll be having discussions about baseball fields again, okay? And then after season's over, we won't have discussions about baseball fields anymore until next spring. So I don't know, guys, how we move ahead on that, okay? But we need to move ahead on it. So I don't know if we make it a standard thing on our agenda that we have a discussion about, you know, how moving forward, how are we going to get to that place that we need to be? Because I used to run with the kids when I was a runner, okay, and it scared me every time I did it, okay, and I was afraid somebody's going to run me over because who I was at times, okay. And, you know, and the same thing with the baseball fields and the softball fields. And we just need to move. We need to do something to move ahead. And we're really not doing that. So,
John, is there a way to do a community poll or survey?
Sure.
Or parental to see if the parents want a track and baseball fields in a new high school?
yeah. And are we willing to
And would they be willing to support a bond
support a bond to do
to pay? Because the school building authority, all of that money has to be allocated directly to the school itself. Any ancillary things like a bus garage or football field or track or any of those things could not utilize SBA funds. It would have to be a supplementary bond to the county.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could ask the parents, would you be willing to, do you want it enough to support a bond initiative?
Mr. Sherlock, would it be okay if we asked Mr. McKeown to put that on as a discussion agenda item, and that the board members next time, and our new board member, won't be Randa, but it'll be our new one, come with some questions for a survey. They can do a survey. He'd probably do a survey tomorrow, but I think we need to think it out. And as soon as this goes out, I know that my telephone will ring, and I'll get emails from people that will have, here's a question, Mr. Metz, okay? And I know you guys are the same way. So if we gather those and come back and have that, that is board, that's what boards are for, okay, is to move projects like this forward. So I find it exciting. I mean, we might find out there are people who don't want anything to do with it. And so be it, but I would be surprised.
I will say when they did that in Calhoun, which, were you still in school?
I was still there, yes,
Okay.
indeed.
So there was a lot of misinformation that went out about the bond levy. And so it was shot down, I think at least twice. And it actually finally passed when nobody knew it was on the ballot.
Yeah. Well, we passed the bond back in 1990. We passed the bond. That's what built the middle school. And it was slick. When I think that bond passed by 70-some%, and we were
That is
actually
awesome.
consolidating and closing a school.
Wow.
Okay, in that bond, because the right work was done, okay? And we were transparent about it back at that time, and I think that's what it amounts to. But I think, here again, I love Worth County High School, okay? It's the grand lady, okay? I mean that sincerely. But we are really getting to that point that we need to think about not what our heart says, but what for the future of our kids. And within that is those track kids and the softball and the baseball. I mean, that's not academics, but that's all part of it. Yeah. So would you put that on there too? And you guys gather what information that you can, and we'll come back to see what we can do, get the ball rolling. Because we talk about it all the time, but we never move forward.
I like to follow the discussion again on the eye exams, and I'd hate to see us lose if we didn't get enough money to do it. I'd like to leave that open.
Okay.
If we can, to see how much, like the 2,000, like you say, is up this spring. So if 10,000, you're still lacking $3,000. I'd like
Okay,
to
so we can say we can do it up to the cost, okay, and leave it,
Right, 'cause
put a ceiling on
I'd
it, not
hate to
a.
see it, because like she said, she can't give money back because it just never got the amount.
You can word things that way, but I think
Yeah.
Kenna could squeeze some money out of Copeland if she.
Yeah. Well, I heard Dr. Nichols say that he was looking down when he said it, but I heard him say that he could probably help with this too, so.
It helps that he's from here too.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just think again, we do things all the time, but I think this can help our kids and our parents tremendously, academically. Okay, when we have kids that can't see, can't read, and I just see it being a win-win-win. Yeah.
Well,
I would like to see, though, also an opt-out.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So, just because I have middle schoolers, they don't bring me papers.
Yeah.
To sign them, I've seen an email about signing something yesterday that they needed something signed, and I'm like, can you scan it and I'll fax it, My children have to be pretty self-sufficient. My children go to Fort Fry schools, so I read about 50 minutes to come. But speaking of bonds, more in local schools, since I moved there 20 years ago, it took them, it feels like, to pass the bond that they just got. So it's a very nice facility, but yeah.
Okay, any other thing for the good?
So, did we want to discuss the staff raise at all, or wait until Mrs. Cummings is here?
Let's wait till Miss Cummings is here. If that's okay with you guys, because she can add into it. Mr. McCowan can handle it, but Karen can add a little bit more into it.
Yeah,
Because she got to ask me questions about, Mr. Metz, is this going to start in the middle of the year? Is this going to start at the end of the year? And it's like, not my decision. It's it's the 5 people's decision when. So we'll wait, and you can look at it and see what you think. But I think again, if we can do something for our staff and we have the money, I think, especially hearing what's going to happen with PEIA, if we can help them with a little bit, I think it's pennies, but it'll help. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move on the agenda. So at this time, I will thank you, Adam. Good seeing you again. Kenna, as I told you the other night, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
It's good to see our kids come back and be super successful. Adam, we're proud of you too, but if I you're ahead, okay?
I will say
You'll put it in the paper. Mr. Metz said he was proud of me.
I'm asking for less money than he is.
As you well know, the role of superintendent has a way of humbling you, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
So I will say that your class, during my career as a teacher, was one of my favorite classes to come through this building of Warren County High School.
That class, I can tell you this, that class, to be in the top 10% of that class, you had to have a 3.95 to be in the top 10% of that class. And I knew that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Okay, but thank you for coming out, Adam.
they're compared over somebody's paying $40,000 over there.
Yeah. It was an exceptional class of kids. Okay, so at this time I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 1st, 2024 regular meeting.
So moved.
Any corrections, comments, concerns?
Well, what was in the packet is the September 17th. Am I in the wrong one? Oh, yeah, maybe I am.
Yep. I got the
am.
paper copy, and it's
Is it-
Tuesday, October 1st.
Okay, good, thank you. Yep, I was in the wrong one.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hear none. We have a motion to approve the October 1st, 2024 regular meeting minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. We're down to payment of invoices. Need a motion to approve the payment of invoices in the amount of $168,634.77.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
Mrs. Cummings and her financial peeps are at the ASBO Financial Conference this evening, so they cannot be here, but I've got the basket of invoices there. And we've got 4 runs of invoices for your consideration and approval this evening. The first on 10/2/2024 in the amount of $1,679.48. This is entirely PEIA retiree insurance billings. The second run of expenditures on 10/7/2024 totals $42,470.55. Noteworthy in this, we have Apple, $3,417.89 for iPads, and there are also school utilities in that run. Next, on 10/10/2024, totaling $44,853.43. Noteworthy in this, we have MakerBot Industries for some STEM grant supplies. We have Murray Sheet Metal for HVAC repairs at the high school. We have Work County Health Services for mental health services. And then finally, also on 10/10/2024, totaling $79,631.28. Noteworthy in this run is we have Gordon Foods for the food service program, and we've got Harris Oil for diesel fuel for the buses. These 4 runs total $168,634.77.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the payment of invoices in the amount of $168,634.77. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we have no supplements and we have no transfers, so we're down to personnel. Need a motion to approve the resignation of Rachel Romage as assistant softball coach for Worth County Middle School effective October 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
We thank her for her time coaching, but her letter of resignation is in your packet.
Any questions? Hear none. We have a motion to accept the resignation of Rachel Romage as assistant softball coach at Worth County Middle School effective on October 16th, 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to approve the resignation of Kayla Kimes as assistant wrestling coach at Worth County Middle School effective October 16th, 2024.
So moved.
So it's a rough night for the middle school coaching staff, but yeah, her letter is also in your packet. Thank her for her time that she's put in helping to coach.
Any questions? Hear none. We have a motion to approve the resignation of Kayla Kimes as assistant wrestling coach, Worth County Middle School, effective October 16th, 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, now we have the resignation of Brian. I need a motion for the resignation of Brian Dotson, assistant girls basketball coach, Worth County Middle School, effective October 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
His letter was also in your packet. I'd like to thank him for all of the hard work. The Worth County Middle School girls basketball team has been quite successful the past few seasons, and we appreciate the contribution that Ryan put in to help accomplish that.
Any questions? Hear none. We have a motion to approve Ryan Dotson's resignation as assistant girls basketball coach, Worth County Middle School, effective October 16th, 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, down to employment. Need a motion to approve the employment of Rebecca McCloy as YLA sponsor, Worth County High School for 24-25 school year, effective July 1, 2024.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
So as you recall, we realized that this did not have a paid extracurricular with it, and we spoke about it, you authorized it, we posted it, and now I'm bringing it to you to be filled this evening. So happy to bring Rebecca McCoy to you as the successful bidder on this extracurricular.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Rebecca McCloy as YLA sponsor, Warwick County High School for 24-25 school year, effective July 1st, 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to approve the employment of Rebecca Smith as substitute teacher for the 24-25 school year, effective upon completion of the required paperwork.
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
So she has bid to get back on our substitute teacher roles. I'm very happy that she
Yeah.
has. Hope to see her out there filling some sub vacancies for us. Happy to bring her name to you tonight.
Absolutely. Okay, we have a motion. Any questions? I'm sorry. Any questions? We have a motion to approve Rebecca Smith as substitute teacher for the 24-25 school year, effective upon completion of required paperwork. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Down to new business. Need a motion to authorize the position beginning teacher mentor for the high school business education.
So moved.
Mr.
If
McCown.
you recall, we filled that last board meeting, and now we need a mentor teacher to help the new teacher out.
Any questions? Hear none. We have a motion to approve to authorize the position of beginning teacher mentor for high school business education. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to approve policy J-04, compulsory school attendance policy for a comment period of 30 days.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
So the state has updated the state attendance policy. So to get in line with that, Mr. Smith has been working on updating our own local policy, and this is the draft of that. It brings us into compliance with the new state policy.
And we'll need 30 days to have it on comment because it'll take you 30 days to read the thing.
And it is pretty thick.
It is
And
thick.
Mr. Smith is still here, so if you've got any questions that you would like him to answer about it, or when the 30 days ends, we'll bring Mr. Smith back too, so
Yeah.
if there's additional questions. But this is bringing us up into compliance with the new state policy.
And I would encourage our parents to read this. Okay,
There are some changes.
There are some changes
As you
that
read it and you get upset, please remember that this is your state legislature that have put these things. They wrote the law, it was passed, and so then the state board rewrote their policy, and then we wrote our policy. So even though it's in there, we may not be in agreement with some of the changes that were made.
So this includes the change regarding educational leave?
Correct.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, all those changes. Any other questions? Hear none. We have policy J-04, compulsory school attendance policy, out on comment for 30 days. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. I'm getting feedback in my hearing aids from the... Okay, we need a motion to approve, or to put out on comment, 30-day comment period, policy G-19, transportation employee alcohol and controlled substance testing policy.
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
So there was also some changes in state and federal policy regarding drug and alcohol testing with transportation departments. As you can probably see, this is a hefty document here as well. Mr. Smith about has carpal tunnel from all the typing he's been doing. But this brings us up into compliance with state and federal law.
Questions?
Yeah, on this policy, if somebody tests positive for alcohol or substance abuse, and we have to keep that information for 5 years, looks like in the policy, if they're positive, 1 year for negative. And it mentions that we would give the information to a potential employee or to a potential employer if that employee asks for it. Is that correct? And is it only if the employee asks for it to be turned over?
I do not have an answer because I haven't read this one through yet.
Can I answer this, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, so we have an employee that either random or suspected of when they test. Either way they're tested, and they come up that they have either alcohol or controlled substance in their system. Okay. When that employee then leaves our employment and they go to seek employment elsewhere, from what the policy, from my reading of it is, if that employee asks for their test to be forwarded, look, either way, let's say if it's negative, then we would give that employee, we would pass that to their potential new employer. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
If it came up positive, we would also pass it.
Let me elaborate.
Okay.
Best way to answer that is, that's something that the recent changes through the federal motor carrier. If you have a CDL license, let's say they want to go get another job as a CDL operator, it is in a clearinghouse system forever. In other words, that will pop up as soon as they go somewhere else and go to work and try and continue with their CDL usage. That's going to be on that clearinghouse. It's a real involved conversation, but basically, the federal motor carrier comes in and checks our books. So that's why one of the things that spurred us to update this. Anytime, once they're in that database, it never goes away. So in other words, let's say you wanted to hire Joe that worked for us, whoever, and tested positive, that will always be on his record. When he goes to get employed, that will show up whether they want it to or not.
Okay, that's my question. So my concern is if we were going to hire someone and they had tested positive for substance or drugs, we would want to know that. We wouldn't want the other school district or employer to just let them resign and not tell us.
Oh, no.
So I would want us to do the same
No, there are
thing.
safety guards in place where that can't happen. Yes.
So it's there. They test positive, and
It's there.
it's in the system, and we will divulge that.
Yes, yes, and even if we don't have to, Mr. Sherlock, it's in that database, and as soon as they go to work with a CDL driver, a red flag comes up and they know that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. So if a potential employer or somebody that used to work for us calls us and asks us about one of our former employees, would we divulge the information?
No, what I would do is tell them to check their clearinghouse records if they have any question to call Mr. McCown back, because, I don't want to say this.
So that's not our database, that's the federal motor carriers database that they would have access to.
So all we're doing is we're putting it into the database.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then if a potential employer
It's up
for a
to the
former employee
employer.
asks us, we would say, check the database.
Yeah.
Correct.
I guess you could say if the employee gives us permission to, or, I mean, you throw a red flag.
And Mr. Matt, that's another, I'm glad you said that. Like when we hire.
You throw a red flag.
I'm just going to involve this information, just like every corporation. The first thing we go, not to bore you to death, but we go through this process on a clearinghouse, and that employee has to give us consent to get access to the records before we can hire them. Does that make sense? Like they drove bus somewhere else or drove truck. When they come to us, they have to give me access to see that information, or we can't legally hire them. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the big changes, because what was happening
Right.
is counties were saying you did a bad, not counties, employers. You did a bad act, but go away, okay, and we won't tell anybody, and this sort of takes care of that.
It's a safety guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this policy only affects transportation employees?
Yes.
It's not for the rest of our employees?
Well, it gives that generic term, but can I pick on William for a minute?
Please.
Okay, for example, he's not a bus driver, but he has a CDL license. So if he's our employee, he gets tested as well. As a few other people, he's on that list. So even though he's not technically using his CDLs every day, he's in that pool, and he'll tell you he gets in that testing group. Yeah.
Okay.
So anybody here that has a CDL license is subject to that.
But if it's a teacher that doesn't have a CDL,
No, can't test them.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Now, what are your, now?
If we have probable cause,
Right, yes, then,
but random testing, you can't.
yeah.
or random testing?
We have to have,
No.
if I have reasonable suspicion
Yeah.
that I have an employee that is under the influence of drugs or alcohol, I can require them to go test.
But they don't have the random testing like
No.
the transportation employees?
And that's state and federal, yeah.
Can I offer something? I do DOT physical, so I have had people come and ask for their records because we maintain it as a medical record too, and they've asked. A CDL doesn't necessarily require a drug test, but some employers want that in addition, so they've asked for a copy of that and they've taken it to another employer.
Right, but if somebody tests positive, they probably wouldn't ask for that to turn in.
A lot of people credit that
You would think.
common sense is a flower that doesn't grow in everyone's garden. So.
And Mr. Matt said, what started this, Mr. Sherlock, was it was CDL drivers in general, okay? And the federal government will tell you, we kind of got caught in a crossfire, I hate to say it that way, but they thought that would be a good way to get anybody to have a CDL, not just out on the open road, get the school system involved too. So this is relatively new.
Yeah.
This clearinghouse is actually, we've only been a full part of this maybe 2-3 years. I have to look at my map or my dates, but that's like something relatively new. So they're taking more and more steps to make sure that that doesn't take place, what you're discussing. So,
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve policy G-19, transportation employees alcohol and controlled substance testing policy for a 30-day comment period. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, down to volunteers and chaperones, and with the permission of the board, I'll take them all under one motion unless anybody wants one pulled out. Okay, need a motion to approve volunteer chaperones for 24-25 year, and we have Donald Williams II, Warwick County Primary Center, Middle School and High School. Samantha Tucker, Primary Center, Middle School. Tabitha Parsons, Primary Center, Middle School, High School, and Michael Kelball, High School.
So moved.
Any questions, comments,
I would
concerns?
just say in the first packet that went out, my signature was not on the last two because I was at a training Thursday, Friday last week, but in the official packet, they're signed and complete and good to go.
I did notice that. But I figure that's what the deal was. Any questions? Hear none. We have a motion to approve volunteer chaperones for 24-25 school year. Have Donald Williams II for Primary Center Middle School, High School. Samantha Tucker, Primary Center Middle School. Tabitha Parsons, Primary Center Middle School, High School. And Michael Kelball, High School. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to board concerns, and we will start with Mrs. Yoke.
I'm good.
Last
It's been a
meeting.
pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you. Again.
Likewise.
And maybe again sometime, huh?
You never
know. Life is funny like that. Ms. Sherlock.
Yeah, I have at the last meeting, we had a parent speak at delegations that brought up an issue of bullying. And it's my understanding that part of her complaint was not just with students bullying students, but with our adult staff not taking proper actions when it was brought to their attention.
So that allegation has been investigated by Mrs. Smith and myself. And what she is considered bullying, I don't think there's any credible evidence to bring any disciplinary action to any employee with what transpired. And she's not happy with that answer, but that's my answer.
Okay.
And is that because it's not repetitive?
No.
I think we probably,
yeah,
we're talking about personnel here, and names were given, okay? So I'm going to stop this conversation, okay? If we want to go into executive session, we put it on the agenda for next board meeting and do it. But I think we're talking about people or employees, and names were given. Yeah. And people do know who we're talking about. So I think that we've probably gone as far with this conversation as we need to.
So we can put that on the next meeting. I want to make sure that these students are taken care of and that all the concerns are addressed.
Yeah. I do not have a problem with that, Mr. McCown. If you want to put a thing on there to have a discussion of bullying. It's not that any of us want it to happen, okay, but we're probably going to cross the line here in just a little bit if we keep going. So, Mr. Stewart?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Metz?
Yes, sir.
I do have, before we close, I do have.
I've got one thing.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, just want to remind everybody that the West Virginia School Board Association is having a fall meeting in November. Sherry, you remember when that is? And if you haven't signed up, Sherry will be happy to take care of you. What's that, Sherry?
November 16th.
Yeah, it's one day.
Where?
Stonewall.
Roanoke Event Center at Stonewall Resort.
Yeah. It's not at the actual hotel. They moved it to, they have a big room up. Yeah. Yeah. Go Stonewall, you'll find it. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr.
No, I
didn't mean to
just,
cut you off. Okay.
with this being Randa's last meeting.
Maybe.
I picked up a little plaque to show our appreciation to you for your service, and for the accounting people out there, I will say no school funds were used in the purchase of this plaque. But it is my pleasure to present you with this, and it has been a true pleasure to work with you these years, and I thank you for the service that you have contributed to the employees and students of Warren County Schools.
Yes.
That's a good picture for paper.
Oh. We don't have to do that.
We'll be your last one.
Yeah. It's been weeks since the newspaper. Oh, it's a weird. There we go. Okay, get the right name.
It's spelled correctly.
Yeah, we will.
Anything else, Mr. McCown?
No.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We're adjourned.